Everything's raising, but the weight is. Everything's raising, but the weight is. Gasoline, groceries, and our hate is. Everything's raising, but the weight is. Everything's raising, but the weight is. Everything's raising, but the weight is. Gasoline, groceries, and our hate is. Everything's raising, but the weight is. They say they're bailing out some banks. I'll take some of that money back. Too big to pay what's my life worth. I can't afford to get to work. If my time's there when I do, you know I'll be happy to. Everything's raising, but the weight is. Everything's raising, but the weight is. Gasoline, groceries, and our hate is. Everything's raising, but the weight is. Everything's raising, but the weight is. Everything's raising, but the weight is. Gasoline, groceries, and our hate is. Everything's raising, but the weight is. Everything's raising, but the weight is. Everything's raising, but the weight is. Gasoline, groceries, and our hate is. Everything's raising, but the weight is. Big corporations make the rules. They're all crooksy, always true. The congressmen, they write the bill. The rest of us, we're broke still. You will let them hurt our biggest sentence. Don't let them hold us with repentance. Everything's raising, but the weight is. Everything's raising, but the weight is. Gasoline, groceries, and our hate is. Everything's raising, but the weight is. Everything's raising, but the weight is. Everything's raising, but the weight is. Gasoline, groceries, and our hate is. Everything's raising, but the weight is. Everything's raising, but the weight is. Everything's raising, but the weight is. Gasoline, groceries, and our hate is. Everything's raising, but the weight is. Everything's raising, but the weight is. Everything's raising, but the weight is. Gasoline, groceries, and our hate is. Everything's raising, but the weight is. Everything's raising, but the weight is. Everything's raising, but the weight is. Gasoline, groceries, and our hate is. Everything's raising, but the weight is. Everything's raising, but the weight is. Everything's raising, but the weight is. Gasoline, groceries, and our hate is. Everything's raising, but the weight is. They say they're bailing out some banks. I'll take some of that money back. Too big to pay what's my life worth. I can't afford to get to work. If my time's there when I do, you know I'll be happy to. Everything's raising, but the weight is. Everything's raising, but the weight is.